Hey guys, this is Lori from the Watchman's Final Hour, and I just want to say that we are so close to the Lord's coming and everything coming to the final orchestration that God has planned. But I wanted to especially mention something that He did just about a week ago, and my family were actually trying to choose a car, what car we were going to, and we were trying to decide, my husband and I were trying to decide what type of car. And about a month ago, we were talking about it, and I said, well, let's pray and see what God brings us to, and puts on our hearts. And so here we are driving, a few days later or so, and all of a sudden we're kind of talking about cars, and we suddenly turned to each other and Ford's it. Ford is in. I was like, oh wow, we both were in agreement. Ford, hey, the Ford car, well made, well built, and stronger doors and things like that. And so a few days later, a few weeks later, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, we finally took it seriously and thought, okay, we're going to start looking. And my husband chose to bring one of my daughters to go and look at a Ford Focus. And I didn't know what that night, what they were looking at or what they were choosing to consider, what my husband was considering. And the next day, my daughter starts telling me about it. Oh yeah, Mom, it was a Ford Focus. And I'm trying to think, what does a Ford Focus look like? And she was, saying, oh, there were two and one was better than the other one, and on and on. And well, the next day or so, I had to go and do an errand, and as I was leaving JCPenney's or, the mall, and I'm driving, all of a sudden this little Ford Focus pops in front of me. And I looking at it, all of a sudden, I'm not one to look at cars if you know anything about me. No, that's just not me. And so all of a sudden I'm looking and I see that it's a Ford and I see that it's a Focus. And I'm thinking, oh, no way, we're not getting that car. I mean, this was an older one. Okay. And so I'm thinking, no, not that. And so I keep driving and all of a sudden a Ford Edge comes in front of me. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's not a bad looking car. Yeah, that'd be a good option. And as I'm continuing on down the road, heading to home, another car gets in front of me. And for some reason, I thought it said it was a Ford, but I looked at mainly at the type of car, and it said Swift. And I was thinking, wow, that looks a lot like the Edge. Wow, both nice looking cars. So then as I'm just about home, pops in front of me is a Ford Escape. And I'm like, this is a joke. I mean, this is just like what the Lord is saying something to me, but I'm like not getting it. Okay. I'm thinking, okay, wow, Lord, you really want to maybe have us look at these different cars. Okay. Okay. So I get home and I'm telling my husband, hey, honey, this is what happened. God is just wanting us. I don't even think I told him, though, about the different types of cars. I kind of said, well, I really felt like God was really talking to me that the Ford car is it. So that night we go out to eat, and I think I might have mentioned the Edge, but I did not mention the Escape, which I think is funny. And so all of a sudden my husband's looking up on his phone and he goes, oh, what about the Ford Escape? And I was like, oh yeah, that's another one that happened. Well, as time went on, we ultimately, what was it? I was listening to Genevieve Brazel, and she mentioned what the Lord told her, how any moment she was going to be with him. And it was almost as if the Lord was just like, pay attention to what I told you. And I'm like, what? And I went, oh, Focus, Edge, Swift Escape. Edge of Swift Escape. Oh my goodness. I'm like, you gotta be kidding, Lord. You were actually trying to make a point. You were telling me, hey, focus. Because I'm getting so, I think distracted with different things of this life way too much when we know that the edge of the Swift Escape is here. We are literally on the edge of our Swift Escape. So I want to encourage you guys, stay strong. If you haven't listened to Michael, are also known as Mike from Around the World, who is interviewed every Thursday night by Pastor Paul Bagley at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I recommend you listen. because he literally said that there is another wave within the next 30 days, another wave of energy coming that will affect our electronics. So things are going to be ramping up. He says what we know as the norm will not be the norm anymore. Our normal is going to be very different. It's going to be like what we experienced just recently with these winds and in the storms that are hurricane force. It's going to be ramping up. So keep your hearts and minds on the Lord. Keep looking up. Stay strong. And if you don't know the Lord, believe on what he did on the cross for you. Tell God that you receive what Jesus did for you, and invite him to come into your life and ask him to forgive you for your sin. And you do about face and you say, okay, Lord, you help me to be what you want me to be. And get ready. Life's going to be very exciting if you do. So God bless you all. Stay strong. We are going to see some events that are just going to blow your mind in the next month. And, I think every week is literally a cliffhanger. So focus, edge of swift escape. We are here. God bless you. Bye-bye.